I don't believe in the existence of God. I feel like I believe in some like greater spiritual power, but I feel like the word God doesn't really encompass exactly what I believe in.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
Atheist?
I never believed.
Yeah?
And since my mom died,
Yes.
I don't believe. No longer.
Yeah?
It's done.
Yeah.
Existence, I believe in the existence of, I don't know if you can call it God, God is the story, but I believe in the existence of a higher force, higher than us, of course.
Yeah, I think there are like just these fundamental axioms of the world that, you know, you have to kind of believe. This even is true in math. Like you have to accept that a straight line is straight and all these sorts of rules to believe that any sort of math is true. I think the same goes for religion. You know, if you want to believe in a world where there's a God, you first have to think, you know, there's these fundamental truths that there is a greater power in the world.
I would say it's a little bit more complicated for me. I do believe there may be some force out there that some people call God, some people call nature.
Yeah.
Some people may call it other names. That is obviously responsible for the world and the universe we live in. I think of it more as nature usually.
Okay.
Just natural forces in science. But I am Jewish. A lot of my family does believe in God and is religious.
Yeah.
I was raised with a more secular perspective.
What is this greater spiritual power like?
I'm not sure. What do you mean, like characteristics?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I feel like it's just like in my mind there's things that I can't explain necessarily, and that kind of encompasses those kind of unknown greater questions.
What do you think this greater power wants from you?
I'm not sure, and I think the key is to be humble enough to know that you don't necessarily know that.
Good point. Do you think you can know?
No.
Is there a purpose for humanity, or do we make up our own purpose?
I mean, I guess that's a kind of hard question.
Sorry.
Yes. I don't know. I feel like there's certain ways that I don't know. I feel like it's kind of hard to say like be a good person because everyone's idea of a good person is very different.
Good
but there
point.
are like certain like ideas of like compassion and kindness that I do feel like it is kind of like what humanity should be doing, and in that way, I guess it kind of makes it its purpose.
Yeah.
But
do you think there's such a thing as an objective right or wrong?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I question that myself all the time because there are some things that feel very right or wrong to me. But then, I mean, I take the whole idea of like cultural relativism. You have to take that into account too. Or even like murder feels so wrong, but then you think like if it was done in self-defense, well, it doesn't feel so wrong in the same way. Like I guess there are grays. I feel like maybe it's more to do with intention in my mind than like the actual act itself.
Well, I mean, we could probably both agree that the murder or abuse of an innocent child is absolutely wrong.
Yes.
No matter the circumstances.
Yes.
Like there's no justification.
Yes. Yeah.
So in my view, there has to be something outside of us that makes that decision of something that's absolutely wrong, whether we agree with it or not. What do you think happens after we die?
I'm definitely not. No, I guess no one has any experience in this that we can really talk to.
We believe one person does.
Yeah, I guess. But, you know, there's a million different possibilities. I guess if I'm going with the nature perspective and that we're just a bunch of atoms and molecules and cells built up into a organic being that developed consciousness, then it just, you know, it dissolves and you go back into becoming part of the earth. But I guess there's no good way to find out unless you talk to someone who has died, and that's difficult to do.
You mean died and come back?
Potentially, yeah, if that happens. So
yeah. Well, I mean, there is record of someone dying and coming back 2,000 years ago.
Definitely.
Yeah. Have you ever read the Old Testament?
I have not, but I do want to
at
some point.
You're interested in it?
Yes. Yeah, I would be
come?
interested. Well, I just think, I mean, I grew up in the U.S.,
too.
Yeah, but so it's like a Christian society framework, and I feel like understanding it just will help me understand it. And I think I'd also want to read the Torah at some point, the Quran, just like understand those things.
Yeah.
And I mean, also like I just really like reading, and there's so many allusions to the Old Testament, to like all those religious texts.
Wow. What about the New Testament? Have you ever read that?
No, not in full.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing. If you read the Old Testament, I'd go right into the New Testament because you see a really amazing story from Genesis all the way through to Revelation that ties in the condition of man and how God reaches in and and gives us a way to connect to him, to
Okay.
forgive us of the things that we've done to other people and against him, and also to give us the opportunity for everlasting life without pain or suffering. And that by putting our faith in him, we can have that reconnection with God and everlasting life that was promised to us by God if we humble ourselves enough to actually go there as Jews. So all I'm doing is just saying this so that you can have it back here. I can't convince you. That's not my job. I'm not able to convince you. The Spirit of God is the only thing that can do that. My job is to share with you my opinion and to hope that you guys can look into the real Jesus, not the ones the picture of Jesus that was painted by the Crusaders in the medieval times, not the Jesus that was painted by the rabbis who have a completely different image of him, and not the Jesus that we heard from our mom. You know what I mean? And that's why I do what I do, just to open people's eyes up to the real Jesus. What do you think about that?
It's interesting, and especially because I feel like even growing up Jewish, I would say, celebrating the holidays,
Yep.
Everything, I did have or grow up with a different perspective, even when it comes to saying Jesus. Like
too.
my parents would say Jesus all the time. It wasn't, it wasn't at all frowned upon.
Mostly used as a curse word.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But I guess not like specifically just as a, like, I guess it's used as a curse word, but not specifically as a, I don't think it was intentioned to be like, oh, you can't say that. It's not,
Okay.
we don't believe in him. Partially because I think that maybe it's not, I guess it's different from your perspective, which is interesting to learn, but I see Christianity in general, or at least I saw it for a long time, as just being a great method by first the Roman Empire and then a lot of other societies later to control people.
Yeah, it's been
Not-
abused for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Abused out of proportion.
But the only way that you'll know that it was been abused is if you actually read it and see what Jesus taught. And then you'll see all these cultures that abused it completely, a complete aberration of what he actually taught. And so we don't want to learn from other people's abuse of it what the truth about it really is, which is why I like to go out and talk about Jesus, about who he really was. The savior of the world that actually took the law of Moses to a higher standard. People say, oh, it's easier to be Christian than it is to be Jewish because we have all these laws. No, it's actually, Jesus says, if you look at a woman with lust, you've committed adultery in your heart. That takes adultery to a higher standard. If you hate your brother, you've committed murder. That takes murder to a higher standard.
Yeah.
It's harder to be a Christian. Christians, Jewish believers in Jesus and Christians are dying all around the world for their faith in who they believe the Jewish Messiah to be. What do you think about what I said?
I mean, I disagree, like, fundamentally.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize.
Yeah, but I do think, religion in general, like, no matter which God you want to believe in or which set of laws you want to believe in is a great method for, like, grounding yourself and living a good, meaningful life. So I wish you the best, but, like,
Thank you.
I don't really want to be convinced further.
Course. Yeah, I can't convince you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you guys
thank
for
you.
sharing your opinion and spending
Thank you
time
so
with me
much.
here. Enjoy your time in Israel and
Thanks.
just may God bless you guys, and I appreciate you.